going around the globe for the gospel of Jesus Christ. Welcome to God's View.
Life will soon become new from God's view.
Hello and welcome to God's View. We're so glad you joined us. You're joining us on Facebook. Wow, you are really in for a ride, and all over the world, this program is going to change your life and many people's lives. I mean, you do not want to change the channel. You want to share with your friends, call your friends, tell them to turn on the TV. And remember, while we're going through the program, call 307-637-PRAY. It's always right behind my head at the screen when we have a full shot. Always periodically across the bottom of the screen, because it's very important to us that we see your breakthrough and that you do not go through things alone. You know, our heart here at God's View is not to get dressed up and just do a TV show, but it's to see everything in your life to encourage you to be everything Jesus died for you to be. And then there's lost people that watch us, and there's prisoners, and there's all kinds of different walks of life, and we welcome you. We are so glad you joined us. Your life will never be the same if you don't keep going past the channel, okay? Just stay parked right there, because it was no accident that you tuned into us today. I know there's going to be something powerful happen in your life. With that said, I'm Charlene Back to Marion, your God's View host. And this is Stephanie Besh. We have Priscilla Pruitt. We have, you'll never believe what I was just going to call you. I've called you a lot of things. I was going to call you Amy Grant.
Oh my gosh!
Is that the craziest thing? God is saying, God, I love her. God is saying, maybe God's saying something. Well, anyways, it's Lana Gardner. Like you all know, she's not Amy Grant, but she's so pretty. And then won't you help us welcome our very special friend? She's a friend, she's a guest, she's ordained through my ministry, God's ministry, my husband and I. It's not ours, but sometimes the my and the I's I don't like, but sometimes they just come out of your mouth, but it's God's ministry. Amen. And he has great plans through Kathy's life, and he's done, when you hear her story, you're going to say, you can do it. You can do it, okay? You can do all things. It doesn't matter where you're at right now today. Do you hear me? I don't care if you're out there prostituting, if your parents are selling you, if you're so addicted to drugs right now that if you're lesbian, homosexual. Kathy lived with a woman for 18 years, because of the abuse. And listen, this is, you are going to be set free, okay? Amen. Welcome, Amen. Kathy. Thank you, sweetie. And one thing I forgot to say, she's been my spiritual daughter for years, and so, anyways, and I've been her mentor, and so there's just a lot of stuff that this gal's got to say. Yeah. Okay, go for it, Kathy.
All right.
Kathy. Well, it's so good to be here today, and you lovely ladies, and the audience.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to begin my story. When I was a little girl, I was 12 years old, and my sister was 11, and that's when we actually went into our first foster home of 6. Now, prior to that age, my dad was an alcoholic, and there was some abuse. And so basically at the age of 12, we went into our first foster home.
So Kathy, was it sexual abuse with your real father?
There was some abuse with my real dad. Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Now, upon saying that, I do want to say that my dad has passed, and I have to believe that he's in heaven. I'd forgiven him a long time ago.
Yes, yeah, and that's a good thing, yeah.
Yeah. However, so when we went into the first foster home, we were, my sister and I were raped by the adult boy. There was 4 children in the home, and he would take us during nap time and take us into the bathroom and just rape us. And that was the very first of, I tell people that I've been raped over 100 times, and it's true. I was raped even up until I was an adult. So, you know, I went through this foster home, and after a while, because I was lonely, I missed my parents, I didn't understand, I had questions. But after a while, I was like, wow, this man loves me. And so he was giving me the attention that I desperately needed from my mother and my father. And so, unfortunately, that's, you know, my identity was very confused.
Oh,
Of
gosh,
course, you know, because now I'm like, okay, so to be raped is to be loved. Of course, I know that not to be true now.
Well, yeah.
You just didn't know
However,
any better. You didn't know
Yeah.
what love was.
Happened
Right.
from the side.
right. So, so then later in life, so we did go through 6 foster homes, and the very last one, my aunt and uncle. Oh, by the way, I do want to say this because there are kids who are being abused in foster homes. We had to eat off of the floor. We had to clean with toothbrushes. We were left in corners for hours upon hours. And it was just, you know, it was a rude awakening, to say the least, you know. And so then later on, after the 6th foster home, my aunt and uncle said to my dad, okay, well, either come and get him or we're going to adopt him. And of course, my father did come and get us, and I'm glad for that. But yet, you know, he still stayed in his alcoholism, even though, you know, at this time we were going to church, and, you know, we were living with a family member and living the Christian life as best as I could as a teenager, which I was already confused, and the enemy had already sowed the seed of mass confusion, and my identity was stolen. Yes. So then, later on in the years, I, out of the blue, and I say out of the blue because the enemy always has tactic. He wants to steal, kill, and destroy. He certainly wanted to do that in my life. Later in years, I was living with my father, and I ran away to what's called the combat zone in Boston. It's one of the roughest areas. You know, you've got the strip of go-go dancers and strip dancers. I was a go-go dancer. You know, you've got the prostitutes, you've got the pimps, so I ran away down there. And what had happened was, years later, I came to understand that the enemy sowed a seed in this one situation to where a female and a male wanted to get with me sexually. And when I went up to the room with the male, the female showed up, and I was like, no, I don't know what this is. But see, that's where the enemy sowed the seed of lesbianism.
Yes. Amazing, isn't it? One little flame, one little time.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
that spirit goes right in.
Absolutely, and you open that door, and boy.
Kathy, were you doing drugs? Were you addicted at that time, or you were
Nope.
not addicted then? Okay.
No, I had tried marijuana, you know, Quaaludes, things of that nature, but that was later on down the road.
Okay.
So then I'm guessing 17-ish, really a teenager, and I'm in Denver, and out of the blue, really it wasn't out of the blue, I decide I'm going to find love, because I've been searching for love my entire life.
In all the wrong places.
Oh yeah, in all the wrong places. Thanks to the enemy. But he's such a liar.
Yes.
So out of the blue, I get this thought of going to gay bars. And that had never been in me. I'd never, but of course he sowed that seed way back when, see? And yeah, the Lord showed me that. So at first it was just experimenting, you know. I called myself bi after a while, you know, and then later on, of course, because I hated all men, then I became a full-fledged lesbian, and I lived that life for 18 years.
So did you prostitute at the truck stops and everything before this relationship with the woman, or after, or?
Now that's very interesting, and I'm so glad you brought that up, because this is how the enemy works. He destroys identity.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so I was so shattered that there was a portion of my life where I was actually a lesbian, but I was prostituting
No.
because my girlfriend at that time, I was with her for 8 years. My birthday gift was crack cocaine. That was my birthday gift.
Oh, great.
Wow.
And of course, prior to that, I was not prostituting. But then later on, because I was addicted now, and I
needed the money.
yeah, I needed the money, and so and God's grace is so deep that I did not contract any diseases. Are
Thank
you
you,
kidding me? I
Wow.
did not get
My.
pregnant.
Wow.
He kept me
Protected you.
safe.
Yeah,
yes.
you know you'd be sitting right here today.
Wow.
You
That's
knew
right.
Yes,
that.
yes.
Yes.
And so I did live the lesbian lifestyle for 18 years. I was a crack addict for 14.
Stone crack addict.
Oh, I lost my daughter because of it. They didn't know it was drugs. I'd left her with a babysitter who I didn't come home, and I should have. And it was really, I was drunk off my butt, and it was due to drugs, though, but they didn't know that. It doesn't matter. So then I lost my oldest daughter, Ashley, which you know very well.
Yeah.
And honestly, I fought to get her back, because the cycle in the family is extremely dysfunctional, and
And basically, everybody lost their children. Didn't all of your?
not all of them.
Not all of them?
Two
Okay.
of them
Two.
have not. Two
Okay.
of my sisters, and I'm the oldest of 8.
Wow. Okay.
Oldest of 8.
Yeah.
Now, did the abuse happen to your siblings as well?
Yes. So
Mm-hmm.
Christy, my sister, she was with me. We grew up together. And so whatever I went through, she went through.
Chrissy's a
Only in the
sweetie.
foster home. Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's
she
a
is.
sweetie. She's a really.
I love
yeah.
you.
Yeah, she's a sweet girl.
Yeah. And so then,
Well, when did you have the baby?
so I have 2. I have an older daughter, which, okay, so,
Out of wedlock.
oh yes,
Yes.
yes. I've never been married. God's got his timing and the man for me.
Did you have the baby during the baby during drugs, during the I mean,
Yeah.
was
Good
it-
question.
I know, yeah, because I know I know this story.
You know
but-
the story.
But did you? Yeah. Well, where like Alana's good question. Like,
Yeah.
where these children come in at?
Okay. So my oldest daughter, I actually, I was raped. I say it that way because I would always call on him to come and save me. Although that's a story in itself.
Oh God, that is.
But
You're skipping lots, but
Oh,
you have
yeah.
to for this.
yeah. So I asked him to get me some alcohol on the way to his farm, where his parents lived, and by the time I got there, I was absolutely drunk, and so I call it rape because I was out of my mind. I had no knowledge of anything. So then I had my daughter, and I couldn't even raise her because by that time, all I cared about was running, and I ran by
Right.
partying. I mean, partying hard.
And drugs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, drugs and alcohol and the bar, and that's all I cared about. That's all I cared about. And so, unfortunately, I did not raise my oldest daughter. Now, my next daughter, who's 27, I slept with a total stranger for crack, And then, you know, I became pregnant, I conceived. And now Ashley, I fought for because I'd lost her, you know, later on in life due to drugs. But so, you know, out of wedlock, never been married, and just living the party life, the drug life, the prostitution. You know, I used to beat people up because I was so angry.
Yes.
You know, and all I
That's how I was when I was young. Yeah. Drugs, and you just want to beat people. You just want to do stuff.
Yeah.
You know, because you're so angry. You just
Yeah.
got to
Get it out of you.
Right.
And you know, with that, just with this little break that we're saying things right now, please stay tuned because this is only part 1, and we're going to have part 2. We may have part 3. Don't know, but we are going to have part 2. Right, we're going to go right into another one, especially those of you that are watching live Facebook.
So when did you realize that none of these things were fulfilling you? And like, when were you like hitting rock bottom?
Oh,
Well, really rock bottom was, even though I got my daughter back, that didn't cure, you know, the
void.
addiction at all.
And the pain.
And so rock bottom was actually here in Cheyenne was rock bottom. And so I can tell you what happened. I was still, I was smoking crack cocaine on the way from here to Denver, you know, from Denver to here with my daughter in the car.
Wow.
I mean,
she was just hooked.
just beyond hooked.
yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
just, it's
But God,
but God.
Amen.
Yes,
one day set you free.
he did. He did.
Walmart.
Yes.
Tell me about it.
Okay.
Yes.
So what happened was I was working at Walmart, and you know, I was so depressed. Oh gosh.
But that was in Cheyenne. She moved to Cheyenne by then, and she was
Yeah.
working at Walmart.
Uh-huh. And so basically, Charlene has been my mentor, and she didn't know me. She didn't know anything about my story, but God downloaded on me through her.
I
And
prophesied to her.
Yep,
going
she
through the
came
things
right
that
through
God's
my
been taking
line.
away
You were
drugs.
checking
Oh, she
out,
was
checking
checking
out.
out.
and you were the
prophesied to her.
cashier.
I was the cashier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That's
And I'm
incredible.
telling you, I mean, God, you know, and this is the thing. See, I knew God. I knew right from wrong.
Yeah.
When I was living that lesbian lifestyle, I knew it was wrong. But you know what my cry was? My cry was
stop?
no, my cry was, God, this woman loves me. How could you say that this is wrong? So really, I was angry at God because I thought, finally, you know,
Right.
forget the
Love
men,
you.
hate
Yeah,
his
Right.
men.
isn't that good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? Why?
Yeah.
Even though I knew it was wrong. And so, you know,
So what would you say to someone that actually feels that way or is going through that right now?
Well, finish your story.
oh,
There's so many
Yeah,
things.
we got so
I've
many
got
things.
questions.
I mean, if we got to do 3 shows, but I know we're so like, let's finish that, and then we want to find out. Then she
I
can
know.
minister
Yeah.
to
There's
people.
just so
and
much.
how
There's
you
so much.
got
Oh,
free.
there's a lot.
I
There's
want to
a
know
lot.
how you got
Oh,
free
and
from
this-
that
and
too.
this is
So,
the- this
so
is the
finish your
story of
Walmart
freedom.
story.
Yes,
and
so
then so
Yeah.
you were still in.
yeah, we can backtrack
You
a
were
little bit.
still
but
in
yeah.
that relationship when
No.
No.
you
No.
no. Okay, well we can
But
wait
go
for
ahead.
that if
Yeah.
you need to.
There's so much. It was difficult writing my
gosh,
book
yeah.
because
Yeah.
I mean,
too
my
long.
life had bounce, and it was even hard for me to. I had to, and it's only 70 pages, but you know, anyway, there was just so much. So I'll tell you about the freedom. So
Let
yes,
me have one of your books so I can make sure
Charlene.
right now. This only said, listen. This book can't even begin to describe. We're only hitting pieces of her life,
one.
but the thing is she's got a book. Her ministry is called Predestined to Win. This book is called Predestined to Win, and we are pitching for a movie right now, Predestined to Win, and it's being written right now, the screenplay, and we will be pitching it in March in Dallas. And so, anyways, and I'm playing my part in it. So now I can put movie star to my resume.
Oh man, then she's got a resume.
Okay, so you met Charlene.
Okay, let's Walmart. Here we
Okay.
are, Walmart.
So
Yeah.
she's in my line, she just prophesied to me, and at that time I was depressed. I was on depressants.
And I remember God said through that prophetic word, He's taking you off of medication.
Oh yeah, he sure
Wow.
did.
And I didn't know her from Adam.
Oh no.
Wow.
No. So I mean, she must have prophesied a long time because God was downloading completely.
Were there
Thank God
people
nobody was
waiting?
in line.
Yes, there was people.
Oh, well, maybe there
Awesome.
was,
They got to
behind me. But
see
you know
that.
what? And
Yeah.
it
The
just,
power
you know
of
what?
God.
God wanted to
God,
move.
God
And
worked it
yeah.
out.
maybe He
Yeah.
arrested
Knows
them and
that.
didn't let them see what was going
Yeah.
on. I don't
Yeah.
know. But
Well, they got to watch and say, I want that.
and then I don't ever give people my car. Well, I'll let you tell the story.
Okay,
Go ahead.
good,
Yeah, I'm
good.
Not, yeah, I'm not telling the story.
So then, so I'm like, this is a woman of God. This is truth. God knows who I am, and He just spoke
Like
the
woman of
daylight.
the
I was
Women
just
at the
thinking
well.
that.
Isn't
Women
he
at the
God?
well. We were all thinking
God
that.
is
Yes.
so
Yeah.
good.
Yes.
And so what
Samaritan.
happened?
Okay, so then, I think it was another time, or was it
You
the
said
same
you
day?
were wrecked. You had to take lunch.
Oh
or
yeah,
something.
so okay,
Yeah.
same day. So I told them I wanted to take my lunch, and I beehived it. I looked for her in that store. I did. I had a mission, and I found her, and
Wow.
you know, I agreed. You've read my mail, and you're right. And then you gave me a card, and you said, well, you should come to church sometime. I don't need church.
And then you
I've been-
called me and I
Been
told
there,
you.
done
Well,
that.
yeah.
It's the
Yeah, and it
message you
didn't help
need.
me, you know, going to church all these years.
But
Yeah,
it
'cause a
did,
bunch of dodos,
because
yeah.
God was there.
It did. It did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you think you invited Jesus into your heart at one point in your
I
life?
had.
Yeah.
I had.
Yeah.
See, and he never took his hand off you.
Never.
No.
Oh, never. He protected
And you know
me.
what? The pastor at that time was really loved people. He didn't
did.
play games.
No.
And when Kathy called me, and she was mad. She was angry. I don't need no church. I don't need. And I says, you know, Kathy, what if it's just? Can you just go just Wednesday night? What if it's one message that would change and shift your whole life, and then tell what that message was?
The Father's heart, right?
The Father's blessing.
Wow. The Father's
and the
blessing.
pastor was
Wow.
giving those that never had a Father's
Oh,
blessing.
yeah.
And that's
A
exactly
blessing
what
that
you needed.
night.
That's
Oh, my
exactly what I
goodness.
needed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I cried through the whole thing. I
She
was
needed a
like,
Father's blessing.
yes.
Yeah.
You were getting
man,
to
delivered.
heal.
Oh yeah.
God
Set
was
free.
coming out of you in those
So-
tears.
It
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
touched
So when
her.
did the
Wow.
addiction break? Was it immediately that night? Like, how did that happen then? Because you said you got
Pretty much
Wow.
immediately.
Wow.
Yeah.
You
Uh-huh.
were delivered.
Oh yeah.
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 Wow.
Yeah. And then you don't know this story, Charlene, but we have a friend, her name is Laura, and one day she came over to my house and I was caught smoking a cigarette, and you know what? That did it for me. I was like, so from that day on I stopped smoking cigarettes.
Wow.
Yeah. I was so embarrassed.
Wow.
But
God's so faithful.
Yeah.
isn't
he is so faithful. So, and then, you know, the story goes on, you know, she became my mentor for, gosh, 7 years. I've known you, you know, more than 20.
Wow.
But all of my siblings pretty much have been in some sort of abuse, one way or the other.
It's tough. People, when you live an abuse lifestyle, you know, sometimes, you know, when you tell your story or when I would tell my story, I had a friend in my life said, can that really, how can this be? Is this really true? And because when you've lived this perfect little house on the prairie life or Leave It to Beaver, it's hard to believe. But
Yeah.
when you've lived something like that, it's brutal. And when you say something, can I say something? I mean, listen, it didn't destroy me. Listen, I'm a tough cookie. But here's what it does do. You know, it makes a person feel like they're being raped again, that they're lying again, that nobody believed them again, that you've betrayed them, they're betrayed again. Because of, you say, how can this be? It's almost like a little child coming and telling their parent, you know, Dad just raped me, and they just ignore it. You know, and so when you say this to somebody that has a life of just craziness, you know, Kathy, you know, my life was not as bad as Kathy's, but you know, abuse is abuse.
Yes.
All of this is the same, no matter whether, I had I had a crazy life too, but it's hard when people say things like that. And so I just wanted to make sure if people listen to a testimony that they just listen and they just, it's great to ask a bunch of questions, but to sit there and make you feel like you're in some kind of lie or it's not true.
Right.
It's like being hit all over again.
Yes.
Right.
You know what I
Yes.
mean?
You're always searching for love. When did you finally feel that? Was it when you went to church that night and you had that revelation of the Father's blessing? I just want to know when you were like, this is love.
Yes, it was. It was just I began to go to church and start to trust people.
God,
And
just
start
did
to trust
so
the Father
much.
and
So much.
and it's His abounding love. It's His perfect love that does cast out all fear. Because I was definitely ran by fear, the enemy made sure of that.
Yeah.
But it was really at that moment that I felt that.
And when did you end the relationship with everybody else that you were in?
Well, actually, I'd ended the lesbian lifestyle long ago.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and God did that because that was
18
That was God.
years.
Wow.
Wow.
That's
2
incredible.
minutes. We're going to be back with Kathy. We just want to bring people to the Lord.
Yes.
And then we're going to be right back with Kathy Hewitt talking about, I don't have, where's that book again? What did I do with that book?
there you go.
We're going to be talking about Predestined to Win. So stay tuned. And for you that's watching it the next week and the next week or wherever it's going, you'll want to watch the second part. But listen, you heard Kathy's story. That the gifts of God are so powerful, and that's why we can never back down, and that's why I will never stop bringing you to the Lord or prophesying through these cameras, because did you hear her story? God sent a person, a broken girl from Detroit that now knew Jesus, in to prophesy, and do you see the ripple and the
Yes.
domino, what
Yes.
happened in her life?
Hallelujah.
Yeah. And how many Kathy?
It can happen to you.
Right.
But you first got to say, Jesus, come into my life. And if you got to say, send me someone like her, send me someone, send me a prophet, send me a woman or a man of God to help me, He will do that. You may be backslidden. You may have known Jesus, like Kathy said, she knew what was right and wrong, but she was so addicted and so gone by then. But you're never too gone.
That's
Because
right.
God is right there
Amen.
to bring you and bring you
Amen.
back. He takes the backslider back. Please, just say Jesus. Just call on His name, because I don't have time. If you just say Jesus and fall on your knees, He will come into your life, because all who call on His name will be saved.
That's right.
And please call the prayer lines and let us know. And then cry out and say, baptize me with the fire and the Holy Ghost. And you know what? And you'll get your heavenly language, and it'll get you through so many things. It'll be your 911 to God.
That's right.
We love you, and we want the best for you. God wants the best for you. Listen, we got to go. It's goodbye for today. God does have a view. God does have a view personally for you. Mwah. Join us.
Going around the globe for the gospel of Jesus Christ. Welcome to God's View.